What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know how to flip the time intensity curve on its head to become prolific with your time? Well, I got good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you how to do this. It's normally $45, but since you're a loyal listener of the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time.
You're listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you want to step into your greatness, you've come to the right place. Here is your host, the human strength expert, Kyle Newell.
What's up, everybody? It's Kyle from unlockingyourinnerstrength.com once again, back with another pretty cool episode, in my humble opinion. Before I forget, if you'd like to download a free copy of the $47 monthly printed 16 to 20 page newsletter of Unlocking Your Inner Strength, go to unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/N as in no, L as in love. That's NL. And you can download your copy there of the March issue. Before I get into talking about an event, a moment that happened to me in 2012 while I was attending the world-renowned mad scientist Charles Poliquin's last workshop in which he humiliated me, I'm going to go over a few more of the questions that my buddy Anthony had that I touched on last episode, because some of these are pretty relevant. The first one is, what is the career advice that I wish I had gotten that I never got? This one is simple. It is the concept of believe in yourself no matter what and go for your dreams. The reason I never got that is because most people never do that. When I was a teacher in Bridgewater Raritan School District, that was the lesson I always opened up the school year with, to my phys ed classes, and that's what I would repeat throughout the year. Go for your dreams. Go for your dreams. If anybody tells you that you can't do it, turn and walk away from them. So when it came time for me to resign from my teaching spot, and some of the kids actually started a petition to try to make me stay, they didn't quite understand how this all worked. These were third graders. I told them, gang, listen, what's the one thing I've always told you, I've always been consistent with? And they thought, and they said, go for your dreams. I said, exactly. So by me leaving, even though it's very hard, this is the best lesson I could ever teach you. I'm acting through an example. And I hope that stuck with them. When I was getting ready to resign from teaching, I had a lot of people that doubted me, that told me I was stupid, that I was crazy, to play it safe, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. And I'm glad I didn't listen to any of those people. So when it comes to taking advice, you should only take advice from those people that already have what you want. Now, the second thing Anthony wanted me to touch on before I get into the ketogenic diet and my humiliating story was, how do you speak so people listen? There's a few ways to answer this, a few ways that are all correct and that should be combined. First, if you just ramble on about nothing and you're a waiting to talker, meaning you wait, you don't listen, you wait to talk when other people are talking, people aren't really going to value what you have to say because they know you're not listening. People need to know that you've listened. That's first. And speaking so people listen when you talk, don't walk around giving mindless advice and useless advice. If people want to learn from you, they will ask you. If people want to learn from you, they will ask you. You need to be given permission to coach. And by coach, I mean to talk to anybody. Your wife, your husband, a student, an athlete. It doesn't matter. So if you remember that, if people are asking you for your advice, they're going to want to listen to you. I know that sounds very simple. And the last thing I could tell you is to really be mindful of how you speak. Now, what do I mean by that? You may have noticed since the podcast started about a year ago that hopefully my delivery has gotten better, and I speak in a slower, more deliberate manner. And that's something I've really been working on. I try to think before I speak. I try as hard as I can to speak in full sentences, which is a rare thing and will make you stand out. People will listen. I try not to use those little extra words nearly as much as I used to. Yeah, but, blah, blah, blah. That type of stuff. So you have to work at your communication. The last thing, and I bet you're dying to know about the story about how I got humiliated by Charles Poliquin in front of a classroom full of other students from around the world. And that's because it's a story. I communicate a lot through stories. If you read my writings, if you happen to catch me at the gym, I will tell a lot of stories. Stories are very entertaining. As I said last week, I've always been a storyteller at heart, but now I've learned how to communicate in a more effective way. So how to speak so people listen. So hopefully that helps you. Now back to my story. This was at Biosignature Level 1, Tempe, Arizona, 2012. I'm sitting in the front of the class, as I always do, because I'm a student, first and foremost. And Biosignature basically is rooted in functional medicine. It's where you use the calipers, and there's 12 different sites that we would measure. And each site corresponds with a different hormone or blood marker if you had your blood work done. Really cool stuff. I actually went and did Biosignature Level 2, which I don't even know if they offer anymore. So there's very few people that you will meet, or in the world, I should say, that have these certifications. It's kind of next level stuff. Back to my story. It's on the end of day 2. We'd been learning about different supplements and hormones. Charles decides it's time to actually do a physical demonstration of how to use the calipers. Now, this dude must have set me up. I think he was eyeballing me because in a typical Poliquin course, most of the people in the room are pretty jacked up. And I was not in poor shape, in my opinion, at all. So he says, you, come up here. Go up in front of the class. Take your shirt off. Okay. So I take my shirt off. But there's 12 sites. Now, first of all, the guy, his assistant that was demonstrating was pinching me so hard that I was actually bruised. The second thing was this guy proceeded to make fun of me for 30 minutes in front of the class. Well, I got to stand up there as a human piñata, meaning to take his jokes. Now, I later learned that he uses the same jokes over and over, which made me lose a lot of respect for this guy. I paid $5,000 to go out there, and that was not including hotel or flight to attend this high-level course. But that's not the point of this story. The point of this story was that Charles kept harping on, and he was speaking in both French, he's French-Canadian, and English, so it was pretty funny, that if I wanted to get really lean, I'd have to stay away from carbs for the next 6 months because it was making my estrogen levels higher, according to him. And he said maybe once a month I could take a lick of a lollipop. And that's it. And he believed it. But the dude has gotten great results from people. Thus, the ketogenic diet. And yes, I did recover from that humiliating beatdown. Then I put it behind me. It was a great learning experience, and it's a great story. What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know how to flip the time intensity curve on its head to become prolific with your time? Well, I got good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you how to do this. It's normally $45, but since you're a loyal listener of the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time. So the ketogenic diet. I was talking to a client and friend that I went to high school with this morning, and he requested, can I speak some more on the ketogenic diet, how to go about it, and all the stuff that you hear about ketogenic diets. Ketogenic diets are when you force your body to use ketones as energy rather than glucose. Ketones are a byproduct of triglycerides or fat. To get into a ketogenic state, you need to keep carbohydrates very low, below 40 grams, 60 tops per day for, let's say, a week to 2 weeks. And your muscle glycogen needs to be depleted, as well as liver glycogen, which are your storage forms of carbohydrates. Once you do that, you'll be burning ketones for energy. Now, a ketogenic diet has many health benefits. It's actually been used in controlling severe seizures in children to great effect, and they're not even quite sure how it does that. Many people have lost a ton of weight and kept it off on things like the Atkins diet, which has kind of been bastardized. But in my opinion, the goal is not to necessarily use ketones for energy. That in itself is silly. It's to manipulate your hormones. So I do it a little bit differently. For me, I go back to something I learned at Biosignature level 2, which was taught by a different man, a doctor, a world-class pharmacist, that all hormones in your body are regulated by 3 main ones: cortisol, insulin, and estrogen. So let's talk about insulin. That's the most anabolic hormone in the body. Usually that means it's the most anabolic or growth promoting for fat or fat cells. When we look at metabolism, there's 2 states of metabolism. You're either going to be insulin dominant or glucagon dominant. Insulin dominant means insulin is raised, fat loss is turned off. Glucagon dominant means insulin is low, fat loss is turned on. Now, there's going to be a blend of this day in and day out. When it comes to insulin, that's one of the hormones we can largely control because you have never eaten anything by accident. And if you have, I'd love to hear that story. It's not like donuts just come running down the street with a handgun telling you to put your hands up and then they jump in your mouth. That doesn't happen. So insulin is largely regulated by the foods that we eat. So you have a ketogenic diet and then you have a low carb diet. There's much confusion. The true ketogenic diet would have fat very, very high, upwards of 70-75% of your diet, and the rest would pretty much be protein and some trace carbohydrates. It's a weird diet to try to eat. Now, a low carb diet is self-explanatory. It's low carb. So I prefer high fat, high protein, which is not going to get you into ketosis. You have something called gluconeogenesis, which is when your body will convert protein to glucose in a shortage of carbohydrate intake. Protein does not have nearly the effect or spike, cause a spike in insulin as carbohydrates do. Neither does fat. Protein and fat, protein in particular, are very satiating. They're going to keep you full. Again, it all comes down to controlling your hormones. I was listening to a well-respected colleague who I've mentioned before, but I have to disagree with him when he says there's nothing magical about a low-carb or ketogenic diet. If you don't think that hormones affect your physiology and your body composition, you are insane. Go back to the people that take prednisone and they balloon up. That's a catabolic steroid. Yet many times they haven't changed their nutrition. So what's going on? I can tell you they alter their ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids in the body, and the fat just packs on at an incredible rate. And that's similar to what cortisol can do to us, a hormone. If we keep insulin low, growth hormone, because of something known as the fishing effect, is going to stay higher. Growth hormone will greatly impact how your body looks and how much fat you mobilize for energy. So my dieting principles, I've talked to you about this before, are intermittent fasting, which is going to keep insulin low, and it's going to raise insulin sensitivity so you don't need as much output of insulin when you do take in carbohydrates. I prefer my first meal of the day, protein and fat. So just a little while ago, I had 6 cage-free whole eggs, soft-boiled, did a couple chicken wings, and then I did about an 80-gram protein shake with raw milk and some peanut butter and some kale thrown in there. That was my lunch. Sometimes at night, that's when I'll have some carbs. Now, I know I do very well off potatoes. I've never had an issue with bread. So sometimes at night, my meal is a nice big grass-fed organic burger, protein shake, some organic French fries. Alexia makes a great brand. And I'll have it on something called Dave's Killer Bread, which has got oats and whatnot in it. There's other times when I'll go a couple days, I'll rip off a couple days of no carbs at all. And I feel absolutely fine when I do that because my calories are high enough. The problem that people make when they go low carb is that they also go low calorie, which is a recipe for disaster. Going back to the colleague I just spoke about before, when he talks about it's a calories in, calories out equation, again, that's hogwash. That's archaic thinking. And this dude has a doctorate. He's a bright guy, but utterly shocked when I was listening to him say this. If the calories in, calories out equation worked, then you'd only have to diet once and you would keep the results, which we know is not the case. Too many people out there don't understand how the brain plays into this and the nervous system plays into this, which both affect the hormones. Hopefully, after listening to this, you have a better understanding of ketogenic diet and a low-carb diet. That's what I got for you this week. If you have not yet already done so, please take a minute or two to leave a review on iTunes. It helps me out greatly. And don't forget to share it with a friend. And go to unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/N as in no, L as in love to download your free copy of the $47 per month newsletter, which is hard copy, but you'll get a digital copy when you go there. And let me know what you think about it. Peace.
You've been listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you enjoyed the show, remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in iTunes.